NSFW, what is the dumbest thing you did because you were horny? Tried to meet up with one of those Snapchat escorts only to lose about $50, her then demanding more before she came in, but I declined until after and she stole my money. Reality is she spoofed my location to show she was nearby and then sent me pictures that could have been from anywhere. That's a stupid tax I just paid. Jacktive in the bathroom with my teacher outside waiting for me, it was like defusing a bomb. I was on a bus very early in the morning going to school and there was this extremely hot girl that would always get on at the same hour as me. Since it was very early in the morning, the driver actually sort of turned the lights off inside the bus so people can sleep. I took that opportunity and jerked off silently. Post-nut clarity hit me like a rock though and I felt extremely ashamed. Not me, but I joked to a guy saying I was turned on from men putting their dick in a toilet paper roll, and he sent me a pic of exactly that. Let my girlfriend give me head in the back seat while on a road trip, and her mom was driving. It was a lot of awkward eye contact in the rear view mirror. She had to have known. She must have known. I screwed a homeless guy in his tent because I met him at a library reading a book I liked. I helped break into a girl I knew's apartment for her. We got dropped off by a cab at her apartment late night after the bars closed. Then she realized she didn't have her keys and her roommates were not home. It was on the 4th floor and each floor had balconies. So I asked if her balcony was unlocked and she said yes. So we triple checked I was looking at the right balcony and I started climbing. At each floor I would stand up on the railing and then hold on to the ceiling. The problem was each floor required a little leap of faith where I had to hop about a foot and grab the bottom of the railing on the next floor. Then I could pull myself up. So freaking stupid. I could have so easily missed the grab and never would have landed back on the railing. 3 a.m., drunk, and horny. Thankfully the balcony door was unlocked. That would have been terrible. LOTR roleplay. I was Gollum. Jerked off at work in the bathroom while on the clock. I've done this several times. Don't worry, I'm not handling food or anything like that. When I was 14, I got my first job night cleaning the office where my mother worked in nursing administration. It was a 1, maybe 2-hour job that I regularly took over 5 hours to complete because I faffed off, ate desk candy, and played with the office computers. I also did an atrocious job of cleaning. Well, this was in the early 90s, and one thing that was really taking off at the time were phone sex lines. I, being a dumb kid and having zero idea that phone numbers could be tracked, found an ad for one of these lines in a newspaper that was on someone's desk and decided to call it. Next night, I did it again, and again. After about a month I had racked up over $800 in phone line surcharges. At that time, the charge would just be appended to your phone bill. The office manager found the charges on the bill and immediately put 2 and 2 together. She handled it very professionally, approaching my mother privately and asking her if she had any idea where these charges could be coming from. My mother subsequently went off on me that night, and that's the story of how I almost got my mother fired and also worked for 2 months without pay to compensate the company for losses. All told, she and I both got very lucky. The office manager didn't pursue legal action or civil restitution, and was willing to let me work off the charges. My mother beat the crap out of me, though. Printed porn at school in middle school. Got caught, then I couldn't use school computers anymore. Jerked off in the middle of a high school class, was never caught, and this is my first time telling anyone about it. Drove in the middle of the night from the west suburbs of Detroit to up near the thumb of Michigan to hook up with a girl I had been chatting with on AIM for a few weeks. I don't live in Michigan. I was staying there with a buddy to play hockey for the Sumner. It was 2002, no iPhone or GPS. I could have gotten so lost, or have walked into a horrible situation. But here I am on Reddit telling the tale. Me and another girl in my freshman year college computer class were sexting. So I jerked off in my cargo pants because she told me to. Walking out the class was a cold, sticky, gooey mess. Drove 2.5 hours to meet up with a guy I was really good friends with and had a huge crush on in high school. He was drunk and asked me to drive up to drink with him. It took me almost 3 hours to get there, and he was so drunk by the time I got there he could barely stand, let alone have sex. Had a drink with him and turned right around and drove another 3 hours back. Stick my dick in a jug of barbecue sauce. I also had like a 4-foot teddy bear and cut a hole. And had my way with it. Had a wank inside of a portable toilet, asked some builders if I could use it. They said yes, so I did. I was a dumb 15-year-old and I liked a challenge back then. I had met a girl while traveling through her city and really hit it off. After spending the day with her, we went out to maybe find a hotel. I was staying with extended family. We couldn't find anything and we ended up getting a little hot and heavy in my little 4-banger car. After making out, I went down on her, and after that she said she wasn't comfortable going forward, which is totally understandable since that was the first time she'd even had a guy go down on her and had never gone down on a dude. We ended up going back to my extended family's house to cuddle/grind/make out/ etc. We said our goodbyes and she ended up sneaking out before they woke up. While continuing the road trip, which was with my sister no less BTW, I started the drive and the entire first hour I was just throbbing rock hard and horny. I couldn't take it anymore and decided I would pull over to take a shit at the next gas station. It was one of the dirtiest gas stations I've ever been at. I sat down and there wasn't even a handle on the stall door, so I had to worry about somebody walking right in or even seeing through the hole. And people did stop in to use the restroom. I rubbed one out as quickly as possible and got the F out of there. Maybe not the dumbest thing, but if I can do that, then all the mofuckers that whine and use blue balls as an excuse to pressure women into doing something they aren't comfortable with can eat that cum shit filled toilet I left at that dirty gas station. Respect consent. I was chatting with a girl and she told me she likes Naruto, so I sent her Naruto hentai pics, then she blocked me. I jumped off a second-story balcony, landing barely between some parking barriers, cement poles sticking out of the ground. My friends locked me in their apartment because I was drunk and they didn't want me walking home, but I was convinced there were girls out there, so that happened. Almost hit a lamp post while in driving school because I was already focusing on the pussy after I get off the car. My driving instructor hit the brakes so hard and yelled at me, "What the fuck are you doing? We're going to die." Hit up my mom's friend, oof, she was fine AF dumb at the time but worked out lol. Lowered my standards when I was younger to get any play. Hormones are a hell of a thing when you're young. Played The Sims 4 the other day, and installed some like mods for sex animations. I don't know why, but for some reason it's an absolute turn on. And hashtag X200B. Not the dumbest, but saying, I got off to The Sims 4 is just kinda weird. I went to a clothing optional beach once, expecting to see a lot of topless sunbathing. Instead I learned the hard way that it's populated by wrinkly old men with big bellies and small dicks. I thought, maybe all the ladies are hiding further up the beach where the bushes can cover them from all the stairs. Turns out that's where the old men suck each other off. Drinking with hubby, me on top, somehow shot the lube right in his face and not south. A nice Argentine lady I met in Thailand and knew for 2 weeks invited me to her country. Well, now I speak Spanish and we have a little 2-year-old girl who is stubborn in 2 languages. I drove 4 hours to have sex once. I took my company van and I used their gas card. I've flown to different countries numerous times to have sex with women I met from Tinder and had a decent connection with. When I was 16 I bought a small ladder to climb into my girlfriend's window, which she lived about 1.5 miles away, so carrying a ladder at 12 a.m. probably wasn't the brightest of ideas, but I guess it's the memories that count. I had a GF in high school who finished the job for me while in a church van threw jeans under a blanket. Full of teens. And a couple pastors. Then I had to figure out how to leave said van afterward and go to a youth group event while soaking. Plus I'm sure a few people noticed. Not my brightest moment. Route Reddit 0200 with 2 days of no sleep. Hopped up on Rippets and dip. I was the vehicle commander and had a gunner and driver. Lots of comm equipment between me and the driver. Yanked one out in Afghanistan under the pants. Or is beating it in a hot porta-shitter with shit breaming to the rim at 100+ degrees. Y'all can be the judge. Masturbate while driving. I had sex with a shower door and accidentally used tanning cream as lube. My dick was pretty brown the next day and smelt of biscuits. Bareback to hooker. I used to have sex with my high school GF in her room near daily, and she had no working locks. It was always a game of roulette if someone walked in. Her mom came in one time while we were buck naked going at it and she just screamed her name and stormed out. Did that stop us? No, we still continued taking that risk. One time we were under the covers doing it, and her grandma walked in as I was on the vinegar strokes. My GF jumped off quick enough to where she didn't know what was going on, but I was already at the point of no return. So I'm looking her grandma in the eyes while continuing to stroke my penis and ejaculating under the sheets, trying to keep a straight face. It actually worked and she had no idea. The only time I was ever able to orgasm with a completely straight face. Got caught coming out of the toilets with a colleague. Replied my ex's text. Edit, spelling mistake. Licked a stripper's pussy. I'm ashamed to admit that I've done this at least 2 times. I really gotta make better choices when horny. Put a small rubber jumping ball up my ass and panicked because it wouldn't come out. I was like 14 PS, straight male. Have sex in school laboratory. Drove across the US, picked up a catfish, said a whatever and took her home with me anyways. Fucked my cousin. Wish I could say it was one honest mistake, but I'm pretty sure I made that mistake another 20 to 30 times over a 2-month period. Oh well, roll tide. Got on Reddit looking for people to sext. I used to turn my car off and coast into this girl's house at 1 to 2 a.m. We had all kinds of sex in the basement of her parents' house. The problem was the brother was a linebacker senior in high school, father avid hunter and gun enthusiast. One wrong move could have meant the end of old Leroy Brown here. Fucked a watermelon with lipstick on it, then proceeded to think I tore the skin off my dick cause it was red. Had a fever in high school one day and the teacher sent me to the school clinic. The nurse gave me some medicine and arranged a bed for me to rest. She went outside for about 30 minutes and didn't come back, so I jerked off on that bed and suddenly my headache was gone. Went to X's apartment after clubbing one night, knocked on front door 2 a.m., climbed up to second floor balcony to knock on sliding glass door, but somehow I was on the wrong unit's balcony and I had to jump and run off. Used shampoo as a lubricant to jerk off. Man, that smarts. I banged a Halloween decoration. It had no teeth. I can't be the first guy to do that. Really not proud of this. Before I went straight edge and put off sex outside of relationships, I went full Cobain, and hooked up with my brain-damaged friend. She always expressed that she wanted to have casual sex, but something told me she couldn't emotionally deal with it, and I was right. Immediately after, she was really upset that we weren't dating or had any hopes of getting married, but after a year, she forgot that it even happened and went straight back to asking to hook up. Had consensual sex with one of my work colleagues. Used my sister's electric toothbrush. It vibrates nicely. Let a chick I was dating move in after only 3 months of being together. Found out 2 months later that she was having another guy over while I was working nights. Confronted her about it and she proceeded to squat, refused to leave, in my apartment for nearly 6 months due to laws not allowing me to remove her on my own. Ended up having to take her to court to finally get her out. My girlfriend and I made another human. Oh, was slashes that expensive? Is put my dick in crazy on here yet? Drove over an hour for a booty call on a weekday. Stayed night and ended up being late for work. I tried to lie and say it was my alarm, but my neck was covered in hickeys. I didn't get written up because my boss thought it was funny, but I did get a talking to at the end of the day. I accidentally locked my girlfriend and I outside her family's cabin while we were naked with 3 feet of snow around us. We were going skinny dipping in their hot tub and forgot to bring our clothes outside with us, so I had to run about 100 feet buck naked through 3 feet of snow to get back in the front door. Absolutely nothing. Which is the biggest dumbest thing in my diary. After she called me, on the old landline, I crawled up into the bathroom window of a neighbor girl, who was in her parents' bedroom's bathroom. She was getting ready to take a shower, so I joined her. Her dad was on the other side of the door, watching TV in his bed. The mid-70s. Spam drunk texts to high school exes. 2 of them respond. Zipping on Adderall and Sam Adams, I went to the first girl's mobile home. I remember her being about 30 pounds heavier and had a cute anklet. And the bathroom, where the last thing I remember was running to it wrapped in her grandma's knitted blanket. Naked, I dropped the blanket and I puked. I know I was shitting at the same time I was puking. A lot of shit. I woke up the next morning at girl number 2's home in her basement by her husband asking if I wanted to go to Carl's Jr. He was amused by my drunk text to his wife, no harm, but I apologized. His wife told him that she texted back asking if I needed a ride, and I took that as an invite lol. They found me about a half mile away from Waffle House and scooped me up, poop and barf covered, rinsed me and changed me, then put me on the couch. However, when I found my phone, it was loaded with messages from girl 1, mostly going berserk over the shit all over her grandma's blanket, puke on the counters, and a mixture of both covering the wall just under the window that was hanging open. That was shamefully dumb. You know you're horny when the crack of dawn looks good. When I was a teenager I stuck my hands up an incredibly attractive girl's shirt that I really wanted to bone, with her permission, and felt her boobies, nipples and everything. It was fucking intense. Then afterwards I peeped down her shirt to see her boobs. I hadn't seen many real-life titties at that point. The problem? It was in the middle of high school, in the middle of the hall, around everyone in the hall, including teachers. We did not get caught, but came damn close to it. I was a fucking idiot for not asking her if we could go somewhere more private for this, but I wanted to see her titties so fucking badly I didn't even think of the consequences. I then proceeded to go to the bathroom to masturbate incessantly because I couldn't have sex with her. She wouldn't want it anyway. She let me see her titties but she didn't want to fuck me. I left my LDR for an old friend I reconnected with where I lived. We ended up getting married and have a kid. Now we're getting divorced and regretting everything except my boy. Wish I could erase her from my memory. 12-year relationship down the drain. During a long bus trip I was so horny I couldn't take it anymore, so I wanked off in the little toilet. Just as I was starting to come I saw the lock turn. I guess it was possible to open it from the outside. I shouted occupied and jumped up. They didn't open the door, but during the startle I had pulled my pants up and subsequently filled my underpants with jizz. The rest of the journey was rather uncomfortable but fuck. The look of my messed up pants turned me on when I saw them later. Guess it triggered a new fetish for me. Got my dick stuck inside a toilet paper roll once. I was a teenager and horny and so I thought if I stuck it in and let it get hard it would somehow be Pleasurable? Well, it got hard, but when it did it was too tight to do anything and started to hurt. So I freaked out trying to figure out how to get it off. It took way too long to occur to me that I could just tear the cardboard roll. I blamed the stains on the cat. Edit, that's it, this is now my most upvoted comment. Fuck me. To this day, my father still thinks our old cat could piss 6 feet up a wall. I was freshly out of a relationship with my abusive ex and I just wanted the first sex after him to not mean anything and not be with anyone important nor anyone I'd meet again. So I went on this anonymous dating site for hookups local to my region and just went with the best person. Off I went to the capital without telling anyone at all where I was going or with whom. We met at a station in the outskirts of a suburb. I got into his car and he took me to a parking lot close to the airport. We had sex in the back where he had folded down his back seat and then he drove me back to the main train station. I did some shopping for new underwear, went to a toilet and changed into fresh underwear, freshened up and then took the train back to arrive at church in time for rehearsal in my church choir. I don't know his name or anything. Couldn't pick him out of a lineup. Super dangerous. I could have been abducted or killed. Many years ago I had one of those abdominal wraps that is supposed to exercise your abs by sending small electrical shocks to cause involuntary contractions. Tried it on another area and didn't really feel like anything except little non-painful shocks. But still pretty dumb. Thankfully I didn't sterilize myself. Drove from Kentucky to Illinois to meet an AOL girl I cybered with. Slept in the back of my pickup truck in front of her house because I did not think about how her parents would react to that creepy bullshit. Her dad took her on a long drive the next day to pick up furniture or something. I hid in the neighborhood and did not realize it was the alternate entrance to the neighborhood. So when she told her dad I was gone, they drove right by me while I was reading a book in the front seat and we never got together because he protected her. Good dad, sad teenager. So then I drove from there to New Jersey for the same reason, and still got nothing. Meanwhile, at that second friend's house, I was AOLing other girls back home in Nevada and one pretended to be a French girl with a crush on me and I angrily outed her for being fake because it did not occur to me she was just being flirty and playing a weird little nervous energy game. Turned out she wanted to lose her virginity with me, according to her friend, but now she thinks I'm an asshole. So I was 0 for 3. Oh boy, being 17 was a confusing time. In HS I had sex behind the timpani drums in the band room during a pep rally, so no one was there lol. Drove in 1:15 each way for 4 minutes of sex. Her odor was so bad I couldn't continue. Paid $3 for the nudes to Snapchat girls. Never got any, blocked instantly upon paying. And the worst thing is I did that 4 times. God, being horny literally lowers your IQ by like 70%. After a party, I masturbation onto the side of the police station. In my senior year of high school, I was supposed to take AP tests all day. It would have looked good for college. Well, all the other grades had the day off, and my boyfriend was a year younger, thus being a grade below me. He picked me up to take me to school, and since his mom worked all day, we went right to his house since we couldn't do mine because my parents worked from home. It went great until his mom came home to check on him. So he basically shoved me into his closet. It wouldn't have been a problem except it wasn't even like a full closet. It was half the size of standard closets. She left and then decided to come back and bring him lunch. I was in that closet for over 2 hours, and my phone was at 10% when I first crawled in there. I ended up just sitting in the dark for about 45 minutes of it. Anyway, our wedding is in a few months. I had intense sex with someone after not sleeping the previous night and not having enough water or eating anything the entire day, and fainted right after. I was incredibly stressed and focused on work all night and day before she got to my apartment. We originally had planned to get me some food and water first, but somehow ended up talking in depth about our weird, ambiguous relationship and our feelings, which got really emotional, and that led to sex. Despite my exhaustion, I found a hidden well of energy within myself and went at it really hard. It was honestly great, much better than I expected given my state. But afterward, when she was actually going to order food, I went to the bathroom to wash up and suddenly realized I felt nauseous. No matter how hungry I had been a moment prior, the thought of eating was now repulsive, unthinkable. I became very hot and started sweating, felt weak and shaky. I tried to leave the bathroom and called out to her for help. I woke up on the bathroom floor 15 seconds later by her count. I apparently collapsed and briefly lost consciousness, and she claimed she tried to catch me but couldn't reach in time. I'm lucky I didn't seriously injure myself on one of the hard edges in there, just hurt my shoulder a little.